Have you ever felt that sort of primal pull, that very old human desire to perceive what might be just beyond our everyday senses?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then what if you could blend that ancient mystery with some, really cutting-edge mobile tech?
Well, that's exactly where we're headed today, isn't it?
It is.
We're diving into the GhostTube SLS mobile application. It's a tool that's stirred up a lot of conversation.
And quite a bit of debate too, right?
Absolutely.
Within the paranormal community, especially.
Right. So our deep dive today, it's based squarely on the analysis found in GhostTube SLS paranormal app functionality and debate. And our mission, really, for you listening, is to unpack how this app claims it works, what its features actually are.
And maybe most importantly, get into that fascinating debate around its effectiveness. Is it a real tool or something else?
Exactly. Authenticity. By the end of this, you'll basically have a shortcut to being really well informed on this pretty intriguing mix of technology and the unknown.
Okay, so to really get into it, let's start with the basics. For anyone maybe new to this kind of paranormal tech, what is GhostTube SLS?
Okay, so at its core, it's a mobile app. It's marketed as a kind of modern, more accessible alternative to a traditional SLS camera.
SLS being structured light sensor.
That's the one. A piece of kit lots of, seasoned paranormal investigators use. The app's main goal is to use your smartphone's own tech.
The camera and sensors already in there.
Exactly, to try and detect and then show you what it thinks are humanoid figures or shapes in the environment around you.
So it's basically trying to give your phone the ability to see things we normally can't. At least that's the claim.
That's the claim, yeah.
But thinking about how complex those traditional SLS cameras are, relying on just phone sensors seems like a huge jump. How robust can that claim really be? How do the developers say it actually manages that?
Well, they are quite specific about the process, or their explanation of it anyway. They state the app uses complex algorithms. These algorithms process data from your phone's camera and other built-in sensors. The main function is to spot objects that look like a human shape or outline.
Right. And for people interested in the tech side, this is where it gets interesting, because it adapts, doesn't it, depending on the phone?
It does.
Specifically, those newer iPhones with LiDAR. How does it use that tech?
Yeah, that's quite clever. For phones that do have LiDAR, mostly newer iPhones, the app taps right into that sensor.
Okay.
It shoots out a grid of infrared light and visible light into the room, and then it measures how that light bounces back. This lets it create a pretty detailed 3D depth map of the space.
A 3D map.
Yeah, and because it has that depth information, it can detect and map objects shaped like people in 3 dimensions, which, in principle is very similar to how a dedicated SLS camera actually works.
That's genuinely impressive using consumer tech that way. But what about phones without LiDAR? Most phones, probably. Does it just not work then?
No, it just changes its approach. For phones without LiDAR, it relies on the phone's dual lens cameras, if it has them.
Using 2 lenses.
Right. It measures depth using triangulation, which, if you think about it, is kind of like how our own eyes gauge depth, right? Using 2 different viewpoints to figure out distance and shape.
That's a smart workaround. So, okay, it detects something using either LiDAR or the cameras. What does the user actually see? What pops up on the screen?
So when the app flags what it calls humanoid bodies or homogeneous shapes,
Right.
it shows them on your screen as a sort of stick figure outline. That's the visual representation.
Like the figures you see in videos from traditional SLS cameras.
Very similar, yeah. And this is a really crucial point the developers themselves make.
Like,
it's explicitly up to you, the user, to distinguish between what they call explainable triggers, a chair, maybe a coat on a rack, and the unexplained ones.
that is a really important caveat, isn't it? Because, let's be honest, lots of ordinary things could look vaguely human-shaped in the right light or to an algorithm.
Especially if you're already looking for something.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, is the app more of a detection tool, or is it kind of like a digital Rorschach test? Are we just projecting onto ambiguous data?
That's a great way to put it. It really points to that interpretive layer that's involved. But beyond this main SLS camera function, the app does have some other practical features too.
Oh, yeah. Like what else? What other tools are in there for someone, using this for an investigation?
Well, the SLS part is the main event, obviously. But it also lets users record their sessions, the video, right inside the app.
Okay, that's useful for review.
Definitely. For looking back at potential anomalies or sharing findings, it also includes some low-light filters. They're designed to help when filming in darker conditions.
But there's a big warning with those filters, isn't there? It's not actual night vision.
Absolutely not. The developers are very clear. The app is not meant for seeing in total darkness. They actually recommend using decent lighting for it to work properly.
So it helps in dim light, but don't expect miracles in pitch black.
Precisely. And it's also worth remembering, GhostTube SLS isn't just a one-off app. It's part of a bigger suite of GhostTube apps.
An ecosystem.
Kind of, yeah. And being part of that can give you access to a community, other users, and even their database of supposedly haunted locations adds another layer for enthusiasts.
Right. So you mentioned it's free to download. That always gets my attention. But, in the app world, free often comes with strings attached. What's the business model here? Ads, purchases.
You guessed it. There's always a business model. GhostTube SLS is free to grab, but yeah, it includes both ads and in-app purchases.
Standard stuff.
Pretty standard. These purchases are basically there to unlock premium features, enhance the experience.
And what kind of things are usually behind that paywall? What do you get if you pay?
Typically, you'll find things like unlimited daily use of the app, which could be important if you're doing, say, a long investigation somewhere.
Right, no time limits.
Exactly. Unlimited video recording, too. More video filters than the basic ones, and maybe access in different languages. They also do auto-renewing subscriptions monthly, yearly, and sometimes bundles that unlock features across all their Ghost2 apps. So yeah, it's that common tiered access model you see a lot.
Makes sense for this kind of niche app.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's really dig into the core issue, the thing that makes this app so, interesting and sometimes controversial, this big debate. Is it a genuine tool for paranormal investigation, or is it mostly just entertainment?
Yeah, this is where things really heat up. For many users, and definitely many critics, the app is seen primarily as entertainment.
Just a bit of fun, a spooky novelty.
Pretty much. But it's not quite that simple. It's not a universal agreement. You do have users on one side who report having genuinely compelling experiences using it. They find it a useful addition to their toolkit.
They believe it works, or at least helps them.
Yes. And then, of course, you have the other side, the skeptics.
And what are their main arguments? Why do they doubt it as a serious tool?
Well, the skeptics often point out, quite reasonably, that the app frequently seems to map ordinary objects. Furniture, shadows, weird reflections, even just how the light falls.
Pareidolia, essentially. Seeing patterns.
Exactly. Things that can easily be mistaken for something paranormal if you're predisposed to see it. It brings us right back to that digital Rorschach idea we talked about.
Are you seeing what's there or what you want to see?
Precisely. And this app, it really encapsulates that tension within the whole field of paranormal investigation, doesn't it? That split between demanding hard scientific proof
versus leaning into subjective experience.
Exactly. The GhostTube SLS seems to deliberately sit right on that line, which is probably why it generates so much discussion and, disagreement.
That's a really sharp point about how it reflects the bigger picture in the community. Do the developers themselves, do they weigh in on this? Do they have a theory for why their app might be picking up these figures?
They do, actually. They've stated quite openly that the app's design is based on the theory, or the idea, perhaps, that spirits can manifest in electronic recordings, specifically video.
Okay, that's a common belief in the field.
It is, and their hypothesis, essentially, is that certain shapes or patterns may be created by a spirit's energy or presence might be what triggers the app's algorithms to map those stick figures.
Whether you buy into that theory or not, it's definitely a fascinating basis for an app.
It is.
So it's pretty clear the effectiveness, the authenticity, it's all very much up for debate within the paranormal community itself, which really poses a question for you, the listener. What part of this whole thing grabs you? Is it the tech itself? The fact a phone can even try to do this?
Or is it the human belief element, the idea that maybe it could work?
Or maybe it's just that weird, intriguing overlap where cutting-edge tech meets this ancient search for the supernatural.
I think it's probably a powerful mix of all of those things for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so too. So there you have it, our deep dive into the GhostTube SLS app. We've looked at the tech side, the claims about detection using LiDAR or dual cameras to map these humanoid shapes. And then we've explored the other side, this really lively, ongoing debate about where it actually fits in. Is it just entertainment, or is it a genuine, if highly debated, tool for investigation?
And that really leads us to a pretty fundamental question to ponder, doesn't it? In a world where technology can mimic our perceptions so well, even create visuals of things we can't normally see, how do we actually tell the difference?
Between what's explainable scientifically or otherwise and what might be genuinely unexplained.
Exactly. What does all this mean for how we approach mystery, how we approach belief, really, in this digital age we're living in?